How's it going, everybody? Nerds Rising here, and welcome back to the Nerd Cave. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at another very fun single-type cup team, and this time the Mons on show are going to be the Triple Legacy Seaking and the Shiny Meganium. Now, this core is one that I just kind of randomly discovered while I was playing around with some Spice teams, and it turns out that this is actually a pretty strong duo. I managed to go 16-9 on the day, and went up nearly 100 elo using the team. So the team works because, first of all, there are no flyers in this league. So we do have the double grass backline. Now, I'm not completely sold on the double grass backline because I did start running into like a Ninetales and a Muck in the back, or double poison, sometimes like a poison type and a dragon in the back. And this team can struggle against those. So if you're seeing those, maybe consider something different than Serperior, but I definitely think that the Seaking and the Meganium are super strong together, because the Seaking, it is exactly what it sounds like, guys. It is triple legacy. You need 3 elite TMs to build this thing, but it really is worth it because the poison, ground, and ice typing basically mean that this thing is unwallable. At the very least, one of your moves is going to be hitting something for at least neutral damage between all 3 of those typings. So it's just really versatile. It's fairly spammy, and it has a respectable amount of bulk to it. So if you have not built a Triple Legacy Seaking, despite the fact that it is expensive, I would recommend it just for these limited cups. It's not the best in the Open Great League, but I regularly bring it out for these limited cups, and it is an absolute monster. And then, of course, Meganium fully is walled by flyers, but there are no flyers in this meta, so really even the things like the fires and the poisons, you can threaten that one shot with the earthquake. So this is a team that I would definitely recommend to you guys. Again, maybe something different than the Serperior, but if you want to pick another bulky mon to cover that 3rd spot, you definitely could. So without any further ado, guys, let's get into the battles here. I do have a little bit more than usual today, so a little bit longer video. So let's just get right into it here. And I did have some very, very fun wins. So first battle, we are facing a Man of Culture or a Woman of Culture. They are running Zangoose, which is another really fun pick for this meta. But the opponent here just goes straight for Night Slash, and Seaking can definitely take a Night Slash in. Zangoose is just so bulky that I'm definitely going to be going for the Icy Winds here. And then I'll probably, yeah, they do shield, and I'll probably bring in the Meganium. Typically, you do want to safe switch the Meganium on this team, because if they bring in something like a Muck or a Ninetales, you can threaten the one-shot with that EQ. So they bring in a Cofagrigus, which is really not an answer to Meganium. We do outpace them, and Frenzy Plant is just such a broken move that it's going to be putting massive pressure on the Cofagrigus. And I believe I do shield this because I know I'm not going to get farmed down. I'm just too thick to get farmed down. And I think if they try to farm me down, I will actually make 2 Frenzy Plants. So that's why I committed the shield. If I was in a situation where I recognized that I was going to get farmed down before I got to a second one, I would have just let the move go. But as you see, we grabbed their last shield and we KO. We now have switch advantage, and the fact that they brought in the Cofagrigus to my Meganium tells me they probably don't have a better answer to my Serperior, and they don't. It's a Shadow Granbull. That definitely would have gotten one-shotted by a Frenzy, and the opponent surrenders there. So very good game. Umbreon lead in the next battle. This is one of the most common mons in this cup. I did see quite a few Umbreon leads. So the way I like to play this is I do some poison jab damage. I let them hit me with a foul play, and then I safe switch into some Meganium, because after a couple of those poison jabs on the Umbreon, they're now just about in double frenzy range, and the opponent brings in a Ninetales, a Shadow Ninetales, and I pretty much always bait here, because as you're seeing here, if you bait, then you can make it to an earthquake. So here I'm either going to get both of their shields or get a shield and KO them, and that's exactly what happens. So they don't commit to the farm down there, and we're still healthy enough that we're going to make a frenzy against the Umbreon. That's huge. So the last battle against the Ninetales, it's a pretty safe bait, because even if they call the bait, as you see, I would have made double frenzy. So at the very least, I was going to either grab both shields or grab a shield and KO, or if they call the Frenzy Plant bait, I would just make a second Frenzy Plant and then get a shield anyway. So I think it's really safe to bait in that situation, because if I don't bait, then the opponent shields the EQ, and then they just farm me all the way down, and they come out with so much energy. So that's why I like to play that. Same with a Muck swap in, which you will see later on. I do think it's just safer in general to bait. I'm not usually one that likes to bait, guys, but there's just some circumstances where you kind of have to. So as you guys have seen here, we're playing this one out. The fact that we were able to get a shield advantage is massive for this game. They have a Cofagrigus in back, but we're just going to debuff them to smithereens with these icy winds, and they recognized they had to save a shield there for the Serperior, and we actually just managed to farm them down with resisted poison jab. So GG there. Pretty fun game. You love to see a fire type getting nuked by the Meganium. And next battle, another Umbreon. Same exact thing. Gonna take the foul play, and then I will switch into the Meganium here again. And what you'll see is, I think the opponent stays in here, and you'll see how much one Frenzy Plant does coming up here, and it does not even do half of Umbreon's health. It's just so incredibly bulky. So that is why I like to stay in the lead, because if I just hard swap in the Meganium right away, then they definitely would not be an easy farm down for me after the Frenzy land. So as you see, the Frenzy does do like a third maybe of their health, but then they bring in a Clefable. So this is already telling me that they do not have an answer to Grass, and this is going to be a really rough end game for the opponent if they don't have an answer to Grass. The Clefable takes huge damage. We're still up shields, and now I think I can just come in with the Seaking here and probably fully farm them down. They don't even make a charge move. Not really sure why you'd run Charm on the Clefable. I think it's definitely better with Fairy Wind, but you know, to each their own. Charm is definitely strong in its own right, but we have the back-to-back moves. Drill Run, I go for the Drill Run because Icy Wind definitely would not have KO'd, but they have him a champ here, and I go for the Drill Run again just in case they called the Icy Wind. And here you're actually going to see something pretty interesting. Actually, I don't remember if the opponent surrenders here. No, they don't. I actually go for the Frenzy Plate here, and if you're wondering why do I go for a neutral Frenzy and not a super effective Aerial Ace? But the reason for that is Aerial Ace is such a terrible move that even when Aerial Ace is super effective, a neutral Frenzy Plant still does more damage. So by quite a bit as well. It's like 88 damage for a super effective Aerial Ace and 120 for a neutral Frenzy Plant. So it's a huge, huge difference. So always go for Frenzies, basically, guys, unless Frenzy is resisted and Aerial Ace is super effective. That's the only time you would go for it. And in this battle here, we have a Perrserker lead, which, as you guys are seeing, is basically core breaking my entire team. I really wasn't thinking about Perrserker when I built this team. Fortunately, I only saw a couple of them on the lead, but the reason why I went straight Drill Run there is they were going straight close combat, so I really thought that they might try to call a bait, thinking that, you know, he's double debuffed and now quadruple debuffed, so maybe he's going to try to Icy Wind me. But the opponent double shields my Drill Runs there, and then I'm forced to bring in the Meganium and just fully sack it. And I still don't even think I'm going to be able to farm down here before having to eat a close combat. So this Perrserker has basically taken out my entire team. But what you're going to see is, I said before, guys, I don't surrender unless I'm sure it's over. And I wasn't sure it was over here because I still have a Serperior, and Frenzy Plant is just so good. We're actually going to take out this Cofagrigus before it even makes a move. And if they have something in back that we can handle with the Seaking, and they have a Shadow Blastoise, and now all we have to do is get the 2 Drill Runs, and I think if they throw here, I can outpace them to a Frenzy, so they're going to be forced to farm down, and they're not able to. So despite Perrserker on the lead there, basically wrecking my entire team, I still managed to grab the win somehow. No idea how, but yeah, that is why you stick it out until you're sure the game is over, guys, because if I would have surrendered there earlier, then I would have been really sad because I ended up winning that game. So Lycanroc here in the next battle, really spicy pick. This thing, I believe, has access to possibly Crunch, Stone Edge, and like Psychic Fangs. Yeah, they go straight for a Psychic Fangs that are called the bait, and I believe that they just go straight for another Psychic Fangs here. We'll have to see. And yeah, I believe this is just a Psychic Fangs. I was hoping here that I could live this and make another Frenzy, but I just barely cannot, unfortunately. I did get a shield advantage, but what you'll notice again is the opponent is not switching out. When I brought in a Grass type, they did not switch out, so that tells me that, again, they probably do not have an answer to Grass in back, and that's what I found a lot in this meta, guys. Other than the occasional Shadow Muck that I saw in the back, a lot of teams were just running things that were neutral or weak to Grass, and as you see there, they had Shadow Granbull in back, and Shadow Granbull absolutely wants no part of that Frenzy Plant, so GG there. Next battle, we have a Dunsparce lead, so here I believe I do try to catch a Drill Run onto the Meganium where it's going to be resisted. Did they throw the Drill Run? Yes, they did. That does absolutely nothing, and they bring in the Muck. So this is one of the harder answers to Meganium. Again, you guys are going to see me bait. If they call the bait, so be it. But I recognize again that if I bait, I can nuke them with an EQ, and they're either going to have to give me their last shield or they're going to get taken out and they're going to not have switch or shield advantage. So they elect to just go down switch and shield advantage. And in my opinion, this is just a personal opinion, guys. Sorry, I just smacked my mic really hard. In my opinion, when you're in a mid-game matchup like that, you recognize that if you are going to fight for switch advantage, like for example, the opponent gives up a shield, and when I get to the next EQ, I feel like you kind of have to commit your second shield, because at the very least then you have switch advantage, and that's at least something, but by letting that go, you give up shield and switch advantage. So in my opinion, you either just need to completely sack the muck, let it go down, maintain 2 shields, or commit both of your shields to maintain swap, because yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me to go down a shield and lose switch. It just puts you in a really, really tough position. That's just my opinion. I mean, the opponent had a Primeape in back, and obviously he knew that Primeape without shields is going to be basically dead in the water, but that's just my personal opinion. That's how I like to play the game, at least. But in this game, I don't remember what the lead... I think it was a double lead, actually. And I catch the body slam on the Meganium. And here I'm hoping I can live one and then make another Frenzy. But unfortunately, I just barely am not able to. But Meganium did get us a switch advantage. And now we're going to bring back in the Seaking and fully farm down. Because Seaking up energy, guys, is extremely, extremely strong. Especially because of those icy winds. We can just debuff whatever comes in. So we're going to see what comes in here. I believe it's a Cofagrigus. Yeah, it's a Cofagrigus. I go for the Drill Run. Drill Run does do quite a bit more damage in neutral situations. And I don't Icy Wind them because I know that their switch clock is up. So if they want to, they can just switch out and immediately reset that Icy Wind debuff. So that's why I like to go for Drill Runs. If the opponent's locked into the matchup, then I'm more likely to go for Icy Winds. But he can still switch out at any time, but he's actually staying in. And there is another fighter in the back. And like I said before, guys, Frenzy is absolutely the way to go. That nearly one-shots the Machamp. And now I think we can just farm this thing all the way down. Yeah, they're not going to make 2 moves, so I think I can just Vine Whip them all the way down. And that's going to be a GG. And by the way, you know what? I haven't said this in like 4 or 5 videos. I know some of you guys laugh at me in the comments, but my allergies are in fact wrecking me today. They always are. I've commented on it a lot in the past, and I know people think that's hilarious sometimes, because I'm always sniffling and stuff, but today is just a rough one. It's really humid, and yeah, I'm not going to say any more about it, but just for everyone that's wondering why I haven't said it in a while, there you go. I said it. You can all take your shot when Nerds Rising says his allergies are wrecking him, so... I don't even remember what the lead was on this battle, guys. We're getting a little sidetracked here, but we have a Clefable into the Meganium, and Meganium just does not care about these hard-hitting moves. Meganium is a very, very bulky Pokemon, in case you guys have not noticed yet. And yeah, I really like this thing. Back in the earlier days of GBL, guys, when it was like Azu, Reggie, Medicham, there was Sableye out there before XLs. This thing was an absolute beast because there really wasn't too many super meta flyers. This is before the days of Noctowl's dominance. There wasn't really Charizards. There was no wing attack buff, so there wasn't many Charizards, no Talonflame, and Meganium would just absolutely go to town because it could hit all the steel types. And yeah, it was just an absolute beast. So good to see it having some play here. And again, I don't even remember what the lead was, but you guys are seeing Serperior into the Umbreon, and this is just a really nice matchup for Serperior. And this is the other nice thing about the double grass in back, guys, because Frenzy Plant is just such a hard-hitting move that basically these grass types with a Vine Whip Frenzy combo are always going to win neutral matchups just about, because the Frenzy just hits so hard. We take out the Umbreon here. They have a Shadow Granbull, a Snarl Shadow Granbull. Maybe that was, I think that's what was on the lead, the Shadow Granbull with Snarl. And since they're not on Charm, they're probably going to have to tank 2 moves, yeah. They're going to have to double shield here. And then I believe, if I'm remembering right, I have energy on the Seaking. Yeah, so I make the snipe here. And this is definitely going to be one-shotting. Again, Drill Run does more damage. We take out the Granbull there, and they have a Surfetched in back, and this is just game over. I think I just let this go. I have 2 shields. I'm just going to bring in the Meganium here and nuke what's in back. I think, yeah, they brought in the Umbreon as their safe switch, and I met it with Serperior. And the reason I do that is because Serperior is a little bit less flexible than the Meganium. They have very similar bulk, but the Serperior doesn't have as good of coverage with that Aerial Ace. Yeah, we go for the Earthquake BM there, but yeah, so in neutral situations, if you have to pick between one of the two, I would definitely bring in the Serperior. just because you want to always have the Meganium free, just in case they have like a poison type in the back, because Serperior is going to get completely destroyed by like a Muck or a Ninetales, because that Aerial Ace is just so bad. And by the way, again, if you are in a situation where Aerial Ace is neutral and Frenzy Plant is resisted, it's still better to go for a resisted Frenzy than a neutral Aerial Ace. That's, again, just how rubbish of a move Aerial Ace is. So, and by the way, Aerial Ace is kind of a tongue twister if you're trying to say it multiple times in a row, is what I just realized. So, this battle, I believe they had a Clefable lead, and I think they just stayed in and sacked it, basically, and now they have an Umbreon. And, again, Umbreon is super bulky, but so is Meganium. I don't even think that we're quite in foul play range here. I forget, though. They might be on Dark Pulse. I think they're on Dark Pulse. Yeah, so Dark Pulse does actually KO us. I don't think that a foul play would have, though. We're up a shield. Do I just bring in Serperior here? I think I just bring in Serperior, expecting them to be weakened back, and they have a Slurpuff. And here, it's actually a Charm Slurpuff, so I bring in the Seaking here just to do some damage here with the Poison Jabs, and then get that debuff off, because that's going to really make these Charms do less damage. And yeah, now this is just game over. We have 2 shields still, and Frenzy just does so much damage. We take out the Slurpuff, and the Umbreon is going to get farmed down, and yeah, they just surrender there. So GG. As you see, guys, neutral battles, this team just wrecks fighters, it wrecks Charmers. It really just does not care about any of the neutral matchups. So Primeape lead here, really cool pick, and they come in with a Ninetales. So again, this one's on Ember, same situation as before, but this time I think the opponent makes a really nice play here. They're going to throw energy, and I like this play by them, recognizing even if they are forced to eventually get nuked by the Earthquake or go down 2 shields, at the very least they've gotten a shield back from me. So now it's not as bad for the opponent to shield this if they want, because then at least I'm down a shield. Yeah, and this time they do shield it. So they do go down both shields, but they managed to get a shield back from me, which makes quite a bit of sense. So the last battle, you guys saw that the opponent gave up 1 shield, and then they just let themselves get nuked, but they didn't throw any energy on me. So I still had 2 shields, and this time the opponent recognized that they were on an overheat as well. And despite the fact that overheat would have been resisted on the Seaking, it still would have done a massive amount of damage. So I do actually, I'm forced to shield, and they get that shield back right away with the Shadow Ninetales. So I think this opponent played that very well, but unfortunately for them, they are running one of the thickest Pokemon in the game, and it just got debuffed with an Icy Wind. So this thing is just absolutely doing no damage whatsoever with its returns. And yeah, Frenzy Plant still hits so hard on Wobbuffet. I do like this play. They come back in with a Primeape just to basically force me to throw some energy here, but that is why, as you guys saw, I'm not going to rewind it, but if you saw, before I was throwing those Frenzies on the Wobbuffet, I was basically farming up to the back-to-back each time, just because I was recognizing they were probably going to come back in and try to make that snipe at some point, and I wanted to always have basically a Frenzy Plant ready as soon as I threw one, just in case that happened. So I don't want the Primeape to do like any counter damage on me. I basically one-shot it right away, and now I can just farm down this Wobbuffet. I went for the Icy Wind there, just in case they made it to a return. I think I would have lived it after the debuff there. So we end up winning another battle, and that's another Fire-type switch into our Meganium that Meganium was able to handle pretty comfortably. So I guess they did take us out, but we were able to get both shields. So next battle, we have a Meganium on the lead here, and in this situation, I like to just catch the Frenzy right away, because I'm recognizing that the opponent probably isn't going to overfarm, because if they overfarm, even if they just overfarm by 1, then I get to my Icy Wind first, and if they throw 1 after where they get to the Frenzy, then I would be winning CMP, and then they'd be forced to give an early shield. So I recognize there, they have to throw right away if they want to outpace me, and that basically just guarantees that you're going to catch the Frenzy every time. So that's exactly how I play out this lead every single game. I saw like 5 or 6 of these things. Just catch the Frenzy on the... Either you could catch it on either one, but again, Meganium's a safer safe switch. They don't allow me to get to another move, so I don't even get a shield advantage, but I do get a massive amount of energy on Seaking, and again, Seaking with this much energy is just really, really deadly, and Alomomola comes in, and then they actually shield, and they have an Umbreon in back, and this is already just game over, guys. We're up a shield, and you've already seen that Serperior does very well against Umbreon, and unfortunately, I didn't get any Poison Jab damage off on it like I did in the previous battle, so what you guys are going to see is 2 Frenzies is not going to KO, and they're healthy enough where I'm not sure, I may actually have to throw a 3rd Frenzy. We'll have to see. I don't think that the Vine Whips are going to quite add up enough here to where we're going to be able to farm them all the way down. We'll have to see. And yeah, that's just too much health on an Umbreon, so I'm probably going to have to throw, otherwise they would have gotten to another move. But here, this just puts them in a really difficult position where, yeah, if they shielded that, then they have no shields for their Alomomola, but I was still healthy enough that they weren't going to be able to waterfall me down, so the opponent rightly surrenders there, and that's another G to the G, so I really appreciate it when opponents surrender, honestly, because, like, in my opinion, there's no reason to play out a long endgame like that where you know you're going to lose. Some people like to play it out, that's totally fine, there's nothing wrong with playing it out, but in my opinion, it helps me personally not get tilted when I play this game, because this game can be super frustrating, guys. I know you've all had moments where you're just wanting to throw your phone across the room, and to me, when I'm getting absolutely stomped, and I know there's no win cons, I just top left as fast as I can, because it just helps me not get angry, and then I just play another battle, you know, without having that built-up anger from the last battle. That's just what works for me. I know some people will never surrender, and that's just fine, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, but don't be one of the people that just sits there and lets your opponent farm them down instead of surrendering, or closes the app and then makes the lag happen where between the charge moves. Just don't do that, just surrender. But anyway, I think there was some lag, speaking of lag, in this last battle, because the opponent's Frenzy on my Meganium did like no damage, but I think that the game was pretty much won anyway, because Primeape's in the back, and I live the move anyway because we Icy Winded them. We're going to take them out, and if they're bringing a... if they didn't switch out the Meganium earlier when I brought it in, and then they brought a Primeape into my Seaking, this tells me that they're very weak to grass. And sure enough, there's a Polytoad in the back. And again, we're talking about surrendering, and this opponent surrenders as well. So lots of surrenders. I had a lot of people top left to this team just because there's so many things that are weak to grass. And this is a really close battle. I believe I lost this one, but this is a really crazy battle. So we have a Lickitung on the lead. They go straight Body Slam there, so I don't have to shield, and they bring in a Shadow Muck. And you guys have already seen that Muck, a Muck that comes into the Meganium is pretty rough, but again, most of the time they do shield, and if they don't throw here, I will make another EQ, and they do very wisely throw. Nice counting by the opponent there. He throws just before I make the EQ, recognizing that at the very least, he's going to force a shield off of me, and now he's actually just comfortable letting his Muck go down. So we're in even shields. I do have Switch, but unfortunately my Meganium is pretty low, and this is going to give this Lickitung some nice farm. So nice play by the opponent there. I really like the way he did that, recognizing he could come in, get some farm on the Lickitung, and I don't have a fighter. I don't have a clear answer to this thing, so this is going to be a little bit annoying to try to take care of. Frenzy is going to do a lot, but I am going to need 2 moves, and they have a Surfetched in back. And here, I think this is the mistake that cost me the game, guys, because I Icy Wind, and the opponent calls it, and he's not going to be able to be farmed down here. Unfortunately, he throws just before I make another one, so immaculate counting by the opponent. I think if I throw the Drill Run there, it does a lot more damage. It does 20 more damage. I probably farm him down or force him to throw all his energy right away, and then I can get to double Frenzy on my Serperior. But unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it now because my Seaking went down, and as you're going to see, I make the back-to-back, but I'm at like 2 HP, and I just have to survive 1 lick so I can make the back-to-back, and the licks get me before I'm able to hit the move. I think that he got 2 licks off there, so I think I should have gotten that Frenzy, but the new mechanic doesn't always work. And yeah, that's a GG. So next battle, we have a Haxorus lead, and Haxorus is a pretty tricky one for this team. Seaking is going to be our best response. I was hoping here that by no-shielding this would tempt them into no-shielding it, but unfortunately they do shield, and now I'm going to be forced to bring in my Meganium, and they have a Shadow Pinsir in back, and this is Meganium's worst nightmare here. The crazy thing is, the Frenzy Plant still does a massive amount of damage, but we're not going to be able to easily farm them down. And a Shadow X-Scissor is going to nearly KO me. That's crazy. X-Scissor is a terrible move, but the Shadow Pinsir is just so cool. And I think we do come in here with the Serperior and look for the farm down. No, we come in with the Seaking here. We're just going to force them to throw. That makes sense. Probably would have taken a lot of X-Scissor or Fury Cutter damage on the Serperior. So I do have 2-to-1 shields here. That Haxorus is still alive, and it does have some energy. And unfortunately, since I let my Seaking go down, that might have been a mistake, because now they're going to come in and they're going to debuff me, and I'm not going to be able to clear my debuff now since this is my last Pokemon. So we just have to hope that there's a water type in back. I'm really praying that it's like a Granbull or a water type, and it's a double Fury Cutter backline with Lurantis. So super cool team. At this point, I don't throw, as you guys are seeing. My only win con here is to hope they superpower, which they do superpower, and then they double superpower, and I live it somehow, and that's exactly what happens. I do live it, and I have 2 Aerial Aces loaded. Their defense is double debuff, but my attack, unfortunately, is 1 stage debuff. So this is the equivalent of them only being 1 stage debuffed, and unfortunately, Aerial Ace is just so bad. I'm just barely not able to get it. I think if my attack wasn't debuffed and their defense was double debuffed, that Aerial Ace may have KO'd there. I'm not sure. But anyway, GG, and I believe this is the last battle, guys, already. This is a really, really annoying team. Wobbuffet lead. I pivot into the Meganium. I don't remember, actually. I think they pivoted out first, but they bring in a Chansey, and I can already tell that this is going to be a triple tank team. So I don't know what's in the back yet. I was expecting an Umbreon at this point, but yeah, Chansey is just so annoying. You know, no hate to whoever is running it, and they get the Psychic debuff as well. It's just crazy. But, you know, it's just like a really boring style of play to just have these bulky mons that can just tank like 5 Frenzy Plants. So there, I pivot out into the Seaking, hoping that they actually pivot out of there and reveal their third, and they do actually reveal their third. It's the Cofagrigus, and Cofagrigus, I'm shielding this move because I'm recognizing that Cofagrigus is really the only mon on their team that actually can do damage since they're running the Wobbuffet and the Chansey. So I do shield that, and I believe I will let the next one go here because they're now 1 stage debuffed, so I can't tank this. I believe I do farm up here and go for the Drill Run this time, just in case they no-shield it. I know that Drill Run will KO. And they do actually double shield their Cofagrigus. Because they double shielded it there, I come in and I make the snipe with Meganium. And now all I have to do is somehow take care of these 2 thick boys in the back, the Wobbuffet and the Chansey. And I don't even think a move is going to KO from here. That is just how embarrassingly not hard-hitting the Wobbuffet is. I don't think that was the best way to say that. But yeah, Wobbuffet, guys, is just really a boring Pokemon. Like, it's kind of cool that it's level 50, you know, probably a level 50 hundo. I don't know if it's quite a hundo, but, you know, cool thing to build. Maybe I'll build one someday if I get a hundo, but I don't know. What you guys are going to see is this game actually ends up coming down to the timer because we were in this battle for nearly 5 minutes, which is just like, you know, like I could play 2 other whole battles in the time that I play 1 battle against a Chansey and a Wobbuffet. So I believe here I just commit to the farm down, and despite the fact that Wobbuffet's really bulky, 2 Frenzies are still going to KO the Wobbuffet, and yeah, that's just going to be a G to the G here. I thought about BMing with an Aerial Ace on the next one here, but I just throw the Frenzy, and yeah, that's going to be a GG. And as you're going to see, timer is coming up. As we're finishing out this battle, the timer comes up, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the battles today. I'm sorry, I know my commentary was kind of all over the place. It's late at night, and I've had a long day, and I'm just kind of, you know, enjoying my night and just kind of going off on some tangents here. So sometimes you just got to do that. But I hope at the very least you guys were able to watch the battles, pay attention to what was happening, and if you do decide to use this team, you will know how to use it based on the last couple battles. So that being said, I do have a few more single type cup battles coming your guys' way, and then maybe we'll take a look at the Ultra League again. I'm not sure. I kind of got a little tired of the Ultra League. I made a couple of videos of it, and then I just started seeing like the same meta lines every single game. So I think this cup's kind of fun, to be honest. It's kind of easier to team build just because there's no dual types. I mean, it's just simpler times of Pokemon, like water, 2 grass types. Like, it just doesn't get much more simpler than that. So yeah, that being said, guys, let's just end the video. Hope you all are having a good one. If you are new to the channel, if you are not subscribed, consider doing so, because the more subscribers we can get, the more Pokemon my wife will let me play.